There's something most dog owners are doing each and every day that's quietly driving a wedge between them and their dog, and they don't even realize it's happening. You genuinely believe you're doing right by your dog. You're convinced your dog adores every single thing you do. But the uncomfortable truth is this. Some of the most common ways people express love to their dogs are being completely misinterpreted. Not dismissed. Misinterpreted. Your dog is receiving an entirely different message than the one you're intending to send. And here's what makes this so maddening. These aren't unusual, once in a blue moon mistakes. These are things you're almost certainly doing right now, today, over and over again throughout the course of a single day. But here's where it turns around. There are 7 habits, each one taking less than a minute to do, that will fundamentally transform the way your dog perceives you. Not simply as their caretaker, not just as the person who keeps the food bowl full, but as their person, the one human being your dog would choose above every other person on the face of this earth. Welcome to Canine Mind. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe right now, because what we're about to walk through has the potential to change absolutely everything about your relationship with your dog. Let's get into the first one, and it's the one that almost every dog owner in the world has completely and utterly backwards. Picture what happens the instant you step through your front door after a long day. Your dog completely loses it, spinning in circles, launching themselves at you, whining like the world is ending, maybe even grabbing the nearest shoe or toy just to have something to do with the overwhelming rush of energy surging through their body. And what do most owners do in that moment? They look down at the dog and give a firm down or stop it, or they physically turn their back and wait for the chaos to die down on its own. On the surface, that response seems logical. You don't want to feed into the frenzy. You've probably read somewhere, or heard from a trainer, that ignoring the wild behavior is the correct approach. But here's what almost nobody is talking about, what's genuinely going on inside your dog's brain during that exact moment. Dogs are pack animals. They are hardwired, deep in their DNA, for reunion rituals. Out in the wild, when members of a pack return to each other after any period of separation, there is an entire, elaborate social ceremony that unfolds. Greeting behaviors, scent recognition, vocalizations. This isn't random, out of control excitement. It is a deeply ingrained bonding protocol that has been baked into the canine nervous system over thousands upon thousands of years of evolution. That moment when you walk back through the door is, without exaggeration, one of the most emotionally significant events of your dog's entire day. When you shut that ritual down, even gently, even with the best intentions in the world, your dog has no framework to understand why the exchange was cut off before it could complete. Over time, dogs in households where this pattern repeats consistently begin to show lower levels of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, during those greeting moments. The excitement doesn't get trained away. It transforms into something else entirely, anxiety. Here's what the actual science recommends instead. A study published in the journal Applied Animal Behavior Science found that dogs who received warm, genuinely engaged greetings from their owners registered significantly lower cortisol levels. That's the primary stress hormone for the rest of the day. Not just in the immediate aftermath of the greeting, for hours afterward. So here's the daily habit. The next time you walk through that door, give your dog 30 seconds. Get yourself down to their level. Let them sniff you thoroughly. Talk to them. Let the reunion actually run its full course. You are not reinforcing chaos. You are completing a biological script. Your dog has spent the entire day waiting to finish. 30 seconds. That's all it takes. And your dog will be calmer, more settled, and more deeply bonded to you for the rest of the night because of it. But that's only the beginning, because the next habit involves something almost every owner does during what they believe is their most tender, loving moment with their dog. And it's doing the exact opposite of what they intend. You've done it before. You've looked deep into your dog's eyes and felt something that's almost impossible to put into words. That quiet, unhurried connection that transcends language entirely. And you were right to feel something real in that moment because the science behind it is genuinely extraordinary. A landmark study out of Azabu University in Japan discovered that mutual eye contact between dogs and their owners
What's so
produces
funny,
a measurable
sweetie?
spike in
Are you enjoying
oxytocin
the
in
mashed
both
potatoes?
parties simultaneously.
They're yummy, Daddy. The
Not
dog
just in the
wants some
dog,
too.
not just in the human, in both at the same time. The hormonal response that gets triggered is virtually identical to what happens between a mother and her newborn child. Eye contact, in the right form, literally activates the biological bonding system across two entirely different species at the same moment. Here's where it breaks down. The way most people stare at their dogs is fundamentally wrong. Sustained, wide-eyed, unblinking, intensely focused eye contact, even from someone the dog trusts and loves deeply, can register in the dog's mind as a challenge, as pressure, as confrontation. Dogs themselves use hard, unblinking stares to signal
Do
dominance
you
and
want to go for
communicate
walkies
threat.
later, buddy?
So when you hold that gaze for too long, with too much visible intensity, even with nothing but warmth and affection in your heart, your dog's nervous system begins to read the interaction as something tense and uncomfortable. You'll catch the warning signs if you know what you're looking at. A subtle glance away, a quick lip lick, a sudden yawn, a slight lowering of the head. These aren't indications that your dog is bored or daydreaming. These are deliberate appeasement signals, your dog actively trying to diffuse what their instincts are flagging as a charged or confrontational situation. The right kind of eye contact is soft, relaxed. Your facial muscles are loose. Your eyes are gently squinted rather than wide and locked on. Think about the way you naturally look at someone you feel completely and totally at ease with. That ease, that physical openness, that is what your dog's brain is actually picking up on and reading. Make this a daily habit. Each morning, when your dog is calm and settled somewhere near you, look over at them with soft, easy eyes and slightly raised brows. Hold it for just a few seconds. Let your face stay warm and open. You'll notice your dog holding that gaze longer in return. Their tail will move differently, slower, more fluid. Their entire body will shift from a state of alertness into one of genuine ease. And once you truly grasp just how powerful non-verbal communication is in your relationship with your dog, you will not be able to believe what we get into at number 5. Because there's one specific physical gesture that most owners never think to use, and it unlocks a depth of trust that almost nothing else can reach. Keep watching. Let's take a look at what's actually going on inside your dog's brain during all the hours you're away at work, running errands, or even just sitting in another room doing your own thing. Dogs are problem-solving animals at their core. Their brains were sculpted over thousands of years of a life that demanded constant tracking, rapid decision-making, reading complex environmental signals, and executing sophisticated behaviors in order to survive and function alongside humans. They were bred deliberately, intentionally bred to have jobs. Herding, hunting, guarding, retrieving. The mental output those tasks demanded isn't simply an interesting quirk of history. It is a biological necessity that still lives inside every dog alive today. When that need goes unmet, something begins to happen that the vast majority of dog owners misread as misbehavior. Furniture gets chewed, barking
there.
erupts at
Did you
nothing.
miss me?
Pacing
I missed
begins.
you too, buddy.
Digging appears out of nowhere. Your favorite pair of socks goes missing. These aren't signs of a bad dog or a stubborn dog. They are behavioral symptoms of a brain operating at too high a capacity with nowhere near enough meaningful output to channel it through. Here's what's genuinely fascinating. Research from the University of Bristol found that dogs who receive daily mental enrichment, puzzle feeders, scent-based games, structured training sessions exhibited significantly lower stress hormone levels than dogs whose routine consisted primarily of physical exercise. Read that again. Mental stimulation was more effective at reducing stress than a long walk. Let that settle in. The daily habit here takes 5 minutes, maybe less. Hide small portions of your dog's regular food throughout the house and send them off to track it down using their nose. Teach one new word or behavior per week, and drill it for 3 minutes a day.
Macaw,
Swap
with
out the
its
regular
striking
food bowl for a
plumage,
slow
is
feeder
one of the
or a
most
puzzle bowl
intelligent
at
parrots of the
mealtimes.
rainforest.
Create small, low-stakes moments throughout the day where your dog has to think and earn something they want. What starts to happen when you do this consistently isn't just a calmer, better-behaved dog. It's a dog who begins to look at you as the source of the most genuinely satisfying experience in their entire day. Their brain lights up, their confidence expands. They start orienting towards you, not out of routine, not out of dependency, but because you have become, genuinely and authentically, the most interesting thing in their world. And speaking of what's happening inside your dog's brain, number 4 is about something nearly invisible that your dog is already doing today. Something most owners completely and consistently overlook. Don't go anywhere. This one might seem almost too straightforward to be worth taking seriously. But the body of research supporting it is some of the most compelling material in the entire field of canine behavioral science. Most dog owners operate under the assumption that meaningful bonding requires active, deliberate engagement, playing together, training together, petting, walking, interacting. So when they find themselves sitting on the couch with a book or parked in front of their laptop getting work done, and their dog is just lying nearby doing absolutely nothing, they experience a vague sense of guilt, a feeling that they're falling short somehow,
Hello, good
that the
boy.
relationship is in
You
some
waited
kind of
so
holding
patiently for
pattern.
me.
It isn't, not even close. For many dogs, what happens in those quiet, unremarkable moments is more emotionally significant than almost any other part of the day. And here's the piece of the dog bonding conversation that almost always gets left out entirely. Dogs are proximity animals. One of the most fundamental, primal ways a dog expresses trust and deep affection is by simply choosing to exist in the same physical space as you, not requesting anything, not showing off, not working for a reward, just being there. Researchers who specialize in social attachment in dogs have found that the mere presence of their owner, with zero active interaction at all, produces measurable reductions in the dog's heart rate and cortisol levels. Your calm, quiet presence, in and of itself, is biologically regulating your dog's entire nervous system. You are their safe harbor, their anchor point, and your dog doesn't need you to perform or engage to feel it. They just need you to be in the room. What this means on a practical, day-to-day level is that all those hours you spend in the same space as your dog, even when neither of you is doing a single thing together, are quietly and consistently building something. Every time your dog chooses to come lie down near your feet rather than wander off to the other end of the house, that's a deliberate choice. That's a vote of confidence cast in your direction. Here's the daily habit. Once a day, sit down somewhere in your home and simply let your dog exist near you, with absolutely no agenda attached, no commands, no reaching out to pet them unless they initiate it, no calling their name to get their attention. Just coexist together in the same space. Let them do whatever they feel like doing. What you'll start to observe over the following days and weeks is that the physical distance between where you tend to sit and where your dog chooses to settle themselves keeps shrinking. They move closer, they relax faster, they sleep longer and deeper. Because to a dog, the single safest place on earth isn't the fluffiest bed or the warmest sunlit spot on the floor. It's wherever you are. And if that feels profound to you, wait until we get to number 6, because there is one daily ritual that most dog owners either get catastrophically wrong or skip altogether. And it may be the single most important 60 seconds you spend with your dog all day. Go back to what we explored in the first point, that reunion energy, that hardwired biological drive to complete a greeting ritual. Now let's go deeper into the actual mechanics of how dogs process those initial moments of physical contact, because most owners are skipping the single most important step in the entire sequence. Dogs do not lead with their eyes. They don't lead with sound. They lead, without question, with their nose. The nose is, and there is no exaggeration here, the primary instrument through which your dog interprets the entire world. Dogs possess up to 300 million olfactory receptors. Humans carry roughly 6 million. The region of the brain dedicated to processing and analyzing scent is proportionally 40 times larger in dogs than it is in us. 40 times. What this means in real terms is that every single interaction your dog has with another dog, with a stranger on the street, with you at the end of the day, begins with a sniff. That sniff collects and processes information that tells your dog precisely who you are, where you've been all day, how you're feeling emotionally, whether anything is going on physically, and whether or not it's safe to move forward. That sniff isn't a cute greeting behavior. It is your dog's entire primary intake system executing its most critical function. Now think about what most owners do just before reaching out to pet their dog. They simply reach out and touch, especially on top of the head, which, by the way, is one of the least preferred petting locations for the vast majority of dogs, even though it feels completely natural and instinctive for humans to reach down in that direction. In doing this, you are bypassing your dog's most essential sense entirely, and reaching down over the top of the head from above, from that overhead angle, triggers a subtle but real flinch response in many dogs. Because objects descending from above register at a deep, primal, instinctual level as a potential threat. Here's the change that makes all the difference. Every time before you reach out to pet your dog, present the back of your hand at their nose level, not directly in their face, just nearby, within easy reach. Then wait, let them come to it. Let them choose to make contact. When they do, you'll feel their nose press gently into your hand, and you may notice their whole body soften just slightly in that same moment. That's the sniff completing its job. That's your dog's brain confirming, I know exactly who this is. Only then do you pet them. And when you do, start under the chin or on the chest, not on top of the head. This takes 3 seconds. But those 3 seconds fundamentally alter the texture and quality of every single physical interaction you have with your dog. From that point forward, you become the person who pauses, the person who waits for the sniff, the person who lets them take the lead. And dogs more consistently than almost any other behavior can account for, remember, and deeply trust the people who gave them that small, quiet act of respect. Here's a question worth sitting with. Have you ever walked past your dog while they were completely knocked out asleep and found yourself utterly unable to resist reaching down to pet them? Maybe you've even scooped them up mid-nap because they looked so perfectly peaceful and irresistible that you just couldn't help yourself. Of course you have. Every single dog owner on the planet has done exactly that, because a sleeping dog is one of the most genuinely irresistible sights in the world. But here's what's actually taking place in those moments, and why it carries far more weight than most people stop to realize. Dogs sleep between 12 and 14 hours per day on average. Some breeds clock even more than that. And this is not laziness. Sleep is the window during which your dog's brain processes and consolidates everything it experienced and learned throughout the day. It's when stress hormones cycle back down to baseline. It's when muscle tissue repairs itself. It's when the immune system performs its most intensive and critical work. Sleep isn't downtime for a dog. Sleep is maintenance. And deep sleep, specifically the stage during which your dog might twitch, move their paws in little running motions, or make quiet sounds, is the stage during which all of that vital work happens at its most intensive level. It is also, by definition, the stage during which your dog is at their most vulnerable. Every defensive instinct is temporarily offline. Every muscle is soft and loose. Their awareness of their surroundings has dropped to nearly nothing. They chose that particular spot at that particular moment because they felt safe enough to be completely and totally defenseless. When you interrupt that state with sudden touch or by picking them up, your dog is yanked from deep vulnerability straight into sudden, disoriented alertness with zero context for what just happened. Even if they immediately recognize you and settle back down within seconds, something has been registered at a neurological level. That spot has become fractionally less safe. That sleep state has become fractionally less deep and restoring. Do this repeatedly over time, and you'll begin to notice a pattern. Your dog starts choosing different sleeping locations tucked under furniture, pushed into the back of a closet, hidden behind a door. They aren't pulling away from you as a person. They are searching out places where their sleep won't be disrupted before it's finished. The habit here is genuinely the simplest one on this entire list. When your dog is asleep, leave them alone. Walk past. Resist the pull. Let them finish. What you'll find is that when they wake up naturally and come looking for you on their own, the greeting they give you is warmer, more present, more connected, because they're approaching you from a place of genuine rest, not from a state of interrupted vulnerability. Which brings us to the final one, and I have been building toward this from the very first seconds of this video, because number 7, once you truly understand it, will permanently change the way you touch your dog for the rest of your life. Cast your mind back to what we covered about eye contact, how mutual gazing between a dog and their owner triggers an oxytocin release in both of them, simultaneously, in real time. That was remarkable on its own. But there exists a form of physical touch that goes even further than that, something that reaches into something older, deeper, and more fundamentally rooted in the canine experience than almost anything else we've discussed today. When dogs within the same pack groom one another, a behavior called allogrooming, they don't do it randomly or indiscriminately. They groom very specific, targeted areas. The base of the ears, the back of the neck, the region sitting between the shoulder blades. These are the precise spots that a dog cannot reach or clean themselves, no matter how flexible or determined they are. And because of that simple anatomical fact, the only way a dog ever experiences touch in those specific locations is from someone they trust completely. A packmate. Family. That exclusivity makes those areas neurologically distinct from everywhere else on your dog's body. When those spots are touched in a slow, gentle, rhythmic way, your dog's brain doesn't simply register pleasure, it registers belonging. Research into canine social behavior has demonstrated that this type of social touch activates the very same bonding circuitry that physical contact activates between bonded pack members in their natural environment. This isn't just petting. This is speaking directly to one of the oldest emotional systems in the canine brain. Here's what most owners do instead. They pat the top of the head. They scratch the area above the tail. They rub behind the ears from the front. All of those feel perfectly pleasant to your dog, but not one of them carries the same neurological and emotional weight as what we're about to walk through. Here is the daily habit. Every single day, find a calm, relaxed moment with your dog. Not when they're wound up, not immediately after exercise, and not when they're trying to get something from you and do this for 60 seconds. Place your hand at the base of your dog's skull, right at the point where the neck meets the head. Use your fingertips, not the flat of your palm. Apply gentle, slow, circular pressure. Work your way gradually down the back of the neck toward the shoulders. Keep the pressure light. Keep the pace deliberately slow. Think of the steady, patient rhythm of ocean waves rolling in. Then watch what happens. Your dog's head will begin to drop slightly. Their eyes will soften or close altogether. Their breathing will shift slower, longer, deeper. If they're standing, their weight will settle back onto their hindquarters. These are not merely signs of a relaxed dog. These are the precise physiological signatures of an active oxytocin release happening inside your dog's brain in real time. You are not simply giving your dog a nice scratch. You are triggering the exact same neurochemical sequence that gets activated between bonded pack members who have spent a lifetime choosing one another. And when you layer this together with everything else we've explored today, the reunion ritual, the soft eye contact, the mental enrichment, the power of quiet presence, the nose-first greeting, the protected sleep, you are no longer simply being a better dog owner. You are becoming something your dog's brain recognizes at the most foundational, instinctual level possible. Not the person who keeps them alive, not just the person who takes care of them, the person they belong to, the person they would choose out of every human being in the entire world to be near. That is what Canine Mind is about. Not just training, not just correcting unwanted behaviors. Understanding what is genuinely happening inside your dog so that every single interaction you have with them, no matter how small, speaks a language they understand and respond to at their core. If this changed the way you see your dog today, subscribe to Canine Mind right now. And share this with every dog owner you know, because most of them are working incredibly hard to love their dogs the right way, and they deserve to know that the answers were